The only thing people see are just, oh, you put 1,000 acre-feet into the reservoir, but behind that, there's so much other work that has to go into it. And currently, we cannot do diversions to recharge or to storage until we get on a positive note. And again, the accounting is still not approved, but we're just waiting. Probably within, hopefully a couple months, we can get that approved, make all the changes that the state has requested, and then we can get that approved and hopefully up and running pretty soon.
What we're looking at here is a 5-year cash flow for the operating fund in WAS. We have several different funds within this district. We have an operating fund, we have a capital projects fund, we have a debt service fund, and we also have a bond acquisition fund. So what we're looking at today is the operating fund. But within the operating fund, we have a subcategory, a smaller budget for the augmentation plan. So that is the little clip of information we're looking at today, is specifically dealing with the augmentation plan. So we'll just start at the top of this cash flow scenario. The first column on the left is 2008. You can see that we're getting revenues from several different areas. We're getting property taxes, we're getting assessments, we have an other category, and then some transfers in. So the property taxes, we'll start there. Under WAS, we have 9 mills that we collect property taxes on. 2.5 mills are dedicated to this fund. The other 6.5 mills go to the debt service fund. So debt service fund is dedicated to paying back the Colorado Water Conservation Board loan that we have outstanding. So the other 2.5 mills go in, which you can see is the property taxes showing up here. The assessments, again, you can see the assessment category. In the projection, we are showing that those do have to go up in 2010. Otherwise, the plan is negative. It's the only way they can bring revenues in. The other category right there consists of sale of assets, earning on investments, miscellaneous revenues, and that also takes into account some grant money that we've been getting, state and federal grants. And then there, the last column is the transfer in. You can see that this fund for several years has been relying on other funds transferring money in. That way they can stay positive. 600,000 last year was transferred in. 1.1 million this year is going to be transferred in. However, there is no more money remaining in those other funds to keep transferring in here. So that, therefore, results in an increase in assessments. Total revenues, you can see across the board, we show quite a bit coming in revenues for this year because of that big transfer in. Expenses, we'll go down there. Professional expenses, that consists of legal and engineering expenses. You can see that we're projecting will go down each year. Most of our cases that are going through court have already been scheduled. They're in court right now, or we're expecting them to go through court in the next year or two. So that should continue to decrease. AUG plan operations, that section is made up of maintenance of our facilities, supplies, any capital purchases or equipment that we have to buy, if we're getting land or structures, excuse me, structures. Water leases makes up the largest portion of what we're expending money on. You can see that we're hoping to hold consistent. Last year we spent $610,000 securing leases, and again, this is trying to get long-term leases that we can plug into the projection tool. Therefore, we show that we have supplies coming in steadily. And then the last column is the administrative column. You'll see that goes down. Pretty much every category here in the future, when we're projecting, we're going to have to spend less money. The only thing we're projecting spending more money on is the water leases, or at least keeping it consistent, because that's part of the, I mean, you have to have that water. So everything else we're projecting to go down in cost a little bit over the next few years. So that total expenses line, you can see that it peaks in 2009 and then goes down from there. So not a great thing, but on the ending balance, that balance is going down each year. And ideally, we'd like to grow that instead of it declining. We'd like to have a reserve, if you will, there if we can, you know, secure another lease or something along those lines. So that's something that we're going to be watching very closely. This just shows a breakdown of the revenues in 2010. It shows that property taxes here makes up 29% of the money coming into this fund. The assessments make up 65%, and then your other category is a small portion. So this just goes to show that the money that comes into this fund that's dedicated from property taxes definitely is not enough to sustain the fund. So that's why that assessment category is there. And this, again, is a bar chart just from the numbers that you saw on that last cash flow projection. The first little box, the purple bars, those represent the professional expenses, legal and engineering, so we're expecting those to go down. The off-plan operations, again, we're going to be doing cutbacks there to keep those expenses down. And then the water leases have to stay fairly high and consistent. That way we can replace all the depletions. And I guess on maybe more of a positive note, we're watching, of course, over the summer, and Weld County was designated as a drought county along with quite a few others. So we did submit for drought relief. There's $1 million that the state has set aside to help people that were experiencing trouble. We did submit for GMS as well as WAS. And as far as I know, there has only been one other party that has sent in a request for that money. So hopefully, June is their deadline. Hopefully, we'll be hearing soon that we'll be getting some reimbursement to help secure more water leases.